You were raised with a warped view of love. Now, more likely than not, if you are a human being living on this planet and you are breathing, even just a little bit, if you ain't breathing that much, if you're breathing, you probably have the belief system that love is a conditional state in which you give your affection, you give your time, you give your attention, you give your appreciation when somebody displays to you that they are worthy of those things, and vice versa. That's the version of love that has been perpetuated within the society we currently live in. I'm going to give you some of this if you give me some of that, and you give me some of that once I give you some of this. And so that basically leads us into living these lives where we are exchanging favor for favor, which I really call a business transaction. This is a business negotiation. I give you this and you give me that. However, there is no written contract, so it is a non-verbal. We'll call it a non-verbal business agreement. That's the love that most of us know. Now, for some of us, we were raised in situations where we believe that love is when somebody is showing us attention. Whatever that attention looks like, that is love. And so, if it is positive attention, that's love. If it's negative, destructive, and toxic attention, that too is love. And so when somebody walks up in the house, they're angry, they're frustrated, we want their attention because that means love to us. So when they're ignoring us is the only time we don't feel loved, and all of a sudden they turn their attention to us and they start yelling and screaming at us, we may feel triggered, we may feel attacked, but deep down the story is they love me enough to fight me or love me enough to fight for me. That's the story, that's the narrative we tell ourselves when we are in this unhealed, wounded space. Or in some cases, in just as I believe abuse is abuse at the end of the day, but physical abuse obviously can lead to more detrimental aspects in the physical, right? And so when you have somebody who, let's say, beats on you, chokes you, is punching on you, is pushing you, whatever it is physically they're doing, you will connotate that, you'll connect that with love because, again, they are showing you some type of affection, especially if you grew up in a household where, people were violent with you, people were handsy with you, etc. Now, I must make it clear, I am not a psychoanalyst. I'm not a psychologist. I do psychoanalyze myself mostly, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm just an individual who has gone through experiences and come out on the other side of the experiences, and I'm now giving that game to everybody else. That's really it. But back to the point. So if you were raised in a household, that's the obvious, right? If you were raised in a household where abuse was a normal thing, whether physical or psychological abuse or verbal, and I say psychological because sometimes it's not just what people say, it's what they don't say and what they insinuate. That can also be deemed as abuse. When you grow up in these type of environments, it becomes obvious to you that, oh, this is the way that we play the game. This is the way that, we play the relationship game. This is what love looks like within a relationship. And so we will accept a lot of these behaviors from others, and we'll accept or receive these type of behaviors without much question. Now, there are also times when we start to realize, oh, these are toxic behaviors, but we'll still catch ourselves still accepting these as the reality or as the only truth because we have not yet done the work to actually rewire our belief system or to shift those subconscious beliefs that keep us in the place of comfort that we've known for so long. And so we start inherently at a certain place, at a certain point in our lives, to see abuse as love. We see them as one and the same. Therefore, if somebody, let's say, is not abusing us, is not yelling, is not screaming, is not pushing and punching and choking out, we will think to ourselves that this person does not really care. This person is not truly invested in me emotionally, right? We say that the person is not passionate. And so we connect that lack of quote unquote passion with this not being chemistry, this not being a good relationship. And so you'll find yourself with somebody who is good for you or could be good for you. I'll just leave it at that, right? Because if you're still in a mentality that abuse is love, you're probably going to mess that person up anyway. God's probably protecting them by keeping them away from you, to be honest with you. But yeah, if you are in that space and you end up in a relationship with this person who is healthy or has healthier belief systems and, has some sort of healing, or they grew up in some sort of household, like 1 out of every 1 million households, which is a perfect household, then you will see that person as boring. You will see that person as not caring. You'll see that person as, passive, or whatever you want to call it. You'll see that person as just not having chemistry. But as soon as somebody steps into your life who shows and displays those characteristics and attributes of abuse, you start to normalize, or you've already normalized it, but you start to see the comfort in it because this is what you've been used to. As a matter of fact, it's the same experience that you're having within yourself. It's the very same emotional and mental back and forth that you're having with yourself on a day-to-day basis. When you grow up in abuse and you normalize that as love, or you normalize that as that's just a means of conversation, of communication, then you start to internalize it and you start to speak to yourself in the very same manner. You start to see yourself in the lens of those very same things. So you'll talk to yourself in an abusive way. We are, or we attract what we are. We manifest the things that we are. What we see in our lives is a mirror reflection of who we are. These are the laws of the universe. You attract what you are, what you believe about yourself. That's not saying if you got cornrows, you're going to attract somebody with cornrows. That's not what the law is saying. What it states is that like vibration attracts like vibration. So if you're somebody who is abusive of yourself, you are going to continue to attract individuals who are mirrors of that abuse. That is universal principle. Now, I must tell you this. I must be straightforward and straight up with you before we even get deeper in the subject is you are in control. You are empowered, though you may not seem empowered. You have power over the situation, though you may seem to be the victim in the situation. Maybe society has told you that or validated you so much in the victimhood that they haven't validated your power and your potential. And I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not here to criticize a therapist or anybody else, but I'm going to tell you that anybody who's benefiting off of your powerlessness is benefiting off of you being exactly where you are. If you're sitting on that couch week after week, month after month, year after year, and you don't see yourself differently, you haven't shifted from one place to another, it's not because the process takes so long. More than likely, it's because, again, that individual is probably benefiting off of you being there. And so you have to come to a place where you accept for yourself that I do have power over my mind and my emotions, though right now I might not have the tools yet. I might not have the habits instilled for me to see that I am truly the one in control of my own life situation, circumstance. You may see yourself as somebody who's been living in a revolving door of experiences, living the same experience over and over, toxic relationship after toxic relationship, or going back to the same person, going back to the same abuse, seeking out that abuse, seeking out that negative validation. But that cycle breaks as soon as you make a decision, a conscious decision that enough is enough. And not just, there's a lot of like narcissist channels, etc., which speak of like it's all about that person, how to get them back and what they're going to do and how they react. But I don't think there's enough about us. It's like, where are we in this equation? We're the one in the experience. And so like if you're a codependent, the most important thing is to break that codependency, is to shift your entire belief system and to become who you truly are, which is one with the entirety of the universe, which is one with source, which is powerful beyond measure, which is one who is connected, absolutely, who is never alone. Once you start to realize the nature of who you truly are, you will see that that person and what they got going on, it's not really that relevant anymore. It's not really that relevant. And holding on to them and wishing the worst for them, etc., won't even be something that you want to give your energy to anymore. You won't care to give your energy to that anymore. You will be looking straight forward. You will be looking to the life that you are building, to the life that you are manifesting, as opposed to the life that was and hoping that person gets theirs. You understand me? Like true forgiveness starts to happen once you start to realize the power that you have. We only hold on to unforgiveness when we believe that we do not have power in our circumstances. And so I just wanted to lay that out and let that be known. So when you are finding yourself again in these situationships, I'm not going to call them relationships because there's no relating there. You're not truly relating to an individual. When you find yourself in these toxic situations, the reason behind that, underneath all these layers, is because there is a level of internalized self-abuse that is taking place. And so it manifests itself through that relationship, that relationship, that relationship. Like, you may have never seen anybody in your family, get hands laid on them, and you end up in a relationship where the person is consistently abusing you physically. Or maybe you never heard verbal abuse in your household, but you, let's say, had manipulation and Jedi mind tricks, psychological warfare going on, right? Religious programming that told you weren't enough, etc. Those very same programs could play out in your life as that physical abuse because it's something that you're doing to yourself internally. And so it would even show up in ways like, you're not going to take care of your body sometimes. Or maybe sometimes you try to take too much control, and so you're obsessed with your body. Like, all of these obsessions and neuroses that we have are a projection of what is going on within our own internal state. There's nothing truly that goes on outside of ourselves. That's why when we come to a place of self-mastery, we are coming to a place of world mastery, of life mastery. And again, I'm not saying these things because I'm some, high and mighty guru. I'm saying these things because this is what is working for me. These are the things that have shifted and changed my life. When I took responsibility and accepted that I was the one causing the toxic individuals to come into my life and take advantage of me, because I was treating myself with no respect. I had no respect for myself, and therefore nobody would truly respect me in the context of relationships. And I had to accept that. Because if I didn't accept that, then what was the alternative? I continue to have the very same experiences. And so for me, it became an easy decision once I said, it might take work. It might take everything in me. It might take me dying to who I used to be and everything I used to know and who I thought I truly was. But on the other side of that is going to be a different life. And sometimes that can be such a frightening experience. It sometimes weirds people out and even triggers people when they say, most people are comfortable in an uncomfortable place. Like, most people are comfortable in pain. Most people are comfortable in sickness, in dis-ease. Most people are comfortable in poverty. That might sound crazy to you, but in reality, the truth is, comfort doesn't mean it feels good. It just means it's a place of normality. It means it's a place that you know. It means it's a place that you recognize as home for you. And so when you're comfortable in a place, when you're comfortable in that pain, it simply means you're used to that type of pain. And it's not until you transcend that need for comfort or assurance from what you know that you will actually transcend, that you'll actually move from that space, that you'll actually become anything other than what you are currently experiencing. And so if you are this individual, I have a multitude of videos. If you just went through all of them, I promise you, your entire mind will be rewired. That's the entire purpose of this channel. But I truly want those individuals who are so serious about this part of their process to make sure to book a one-on-one consultation with me, right? Again, there's no pressure. I don't, care if you do or not, to be honest. This is up to you and you. It's an investment that you make in yourself. So I'm opening up my own calendar as I can right now. Things will change in the future, right? I'm not going to have the same bandwidth, the same time to have these calls, but right now I can. And so I'm extending this invitation to you right now to go into my description below, to click on my Calendly link. It's going to be right there 2 times in the description. Click on it, book a time, book a place. Well, book a place, not physical. Book a time, book a date that works for both of us. And let's really crack this code. It's not supposed to take you 20 years on a therapist's couch. Sometimes a breakthrough can happen in a moment. It just takes you making that decision that you are enough and you deserve that transformation. You deserve to be loved. I appreciate you and I do love you. Peace.